Hello and welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep IAS. Welcome to another session of Indian Economy Essentials. And in today's session, let's try and understand. Very recently, there has been a discussion regarding India leading laundromat countries. What is the issue all about? What is the concept of laundromat? Let's try and understand this. Now, let's start with the basics. All of you know, in the last many months, especially in the last 1 year, there has been a war that has been going on between two countries, that is Russia and Ukraine. And the concept of laundromat is associated with Russia and Ukraine war. Now, point number one, Russia and Ukraine went to war. And once both of these countries were engulfed into war, many countries looked at Russia and said, it is because of you that the war is taking place. You are the aggressor here. You have started the war. So we will impose sanctions on Russia. Now, I'm not going to talk about all the types of sanctions here. I'll focus on only one type of sanction that is generally associated with exporting of Russian crude oil. Exporting of Russian crude oil. That is, again, please understand, some of you will say, but sir, this is not a sanction, etc. In regards to export of crude oil from Russia, many countries banded together and imposed restrictions on importing these crude oil imports from Russia. Now, in this type of import restriction, what was introduced was a concept of oil price cap. Oil price cap. Many countries, such as European Union, they formed a coalition and stated that will not be importing crude oil from Russia above this particular price. As a result of these types of sanctions on trade, on exporting of the commodities, etc., the trade relations between Russia and many other countries improved. For example, the trade between India and Russia has improved, especially in the last 1 year, thanks to various sanctions which have been imposed by the Western countries or European Union markets over trading with Russia. One of the outcomes of this increased or enhanced trade between India and Russia is in the form of Indian companies, oil companies, purchasing the crude oil from Russia. And is it just India that has purchased more and more crude from Russia? Of course, no. There are many countries, but in this report, which has been published by CREA, Center for Research on Energy and Clean Air, Helsinki-based CREA, a very nice nugget for those fans of Money Heist. Helsinki-based, one of the research institutes, that is CREA, has come out with a report and stated that most of the crude oil which has been exported by Russia have been purchased by these 5 countries. That is China, India, Turkey, UAE and Singapore. Again, do not by heart the graph. Graph is not relevant. Understand the concept behind it. So what has happened? The story is very simple here. Russia-Ukraine war started. There were certain restrictions imposed over the crude oil exports done by Russia. Many countries such as India, including India, started purchasing crude oil from Russia at discounted prices. Now look at the 4th point. This is very interesting. These countries, including India, right, and mainly China apart from India, the companies in these countries purchased the crude oil from Russia, refined the crude oil. What do you mean by refining? Basically extracting various components, separating various components of the crude oil such as petrol, diesel, etc. And after refining, they started exporting these products to many countries which had imposed the oil price cap on Russian crude. That is, in simple terms, here is let's say one example, European Union. Many countries in the European Union, until the Russia-Ukraine war broke out, were purchasing the crude oil or the products of the crude oil directly from Russia. And because of these events, they stopped importing this particular crude oil products. And now what has happened? Russia started selling more and more of this crude oil. In fact, I'll show you the data. post the Russia-Ukraine war, the export of crude oil from Russia has actually increased. So Russia has started exporting more and more crude oil from Russia to many countries such as India. In India, we have refined this crude oil from Russia and we have started exporting this product to many countries which had imposed restrictions, stopped buying crude oil from Russia. In simple terms, even though measures have been taken by these countries to scuttle the revenue inflow to Russia because of the trade, indirectly now they are basically contributing, indirectly, not directly, they are contributing to the trade revenue or the trade revenue that is generated by Russia. This is the biggest concern which has been raised by this report, and this process, have a look at this process wherein crude is purchased by a country such as India, refined, and now it is sold to the European Union countries along with many other countries. European Union is the most important country. For example, have a look at this. Some of it basically says, why are you targeting European Union? Out of all the crude that has been exported by these countries, European Union has purchased most of the crude oil products, or let's say some of the products which have been outcome of refining of crude oil. For example, diesel. Best example is diesel itself. So European Union, Australia, USA, Japan, UK, Netherlands and France. This is a coalition. This is a coalition which has imposed restriction and is stopping purchasing the crude oil from Russia, but indirectly they have started purchasing the crude oil from countries such as China. Again, when I say crude oil here, products of crude oil, China, India, Turkey, UAE and Singapore. And you can see in the other side or in the second graph, you can see what has been the change in terms of exporting of the products, crude oil products, to these countries from these 5 countries. That is the coalition group of 7 countries. They have purchased a lot of crude oil products from these 5 countries, and this purchasing has actually increased after the imposition or after the war between Russia and Ukraine broke out. And this process of buying the crude from Russia, refining it and then selling it to those countries which have imposed restriction on purchasing crude oil from Russia, this process is called as laundromat, right? That is basically cleaning. If you look at the term launder, what is the actual meaning of the term launder? Launder means actually cleaning. The other meaning of the launder is also to conceal, to basically conceal, hide certain identity. Many often you will come across the concept of laundering in the context of money laundering. So the concern which has been raised by this report is very simple. They are saying that these countries, although they have imposed restriction, but indirectly they are purchasing the crude oil products from many other countries who are purchasing the crude oil from Russia, thereby making it much more difficult to implement or let's say restrict the inflow of revenue to Russian government or have an impact on the Russian economy. They're also basically saying that whatever policies have been implemented so far in order to control the sale of Russian oil, these policies are getting negated because of this laundering or concealing of the sale of the crude oil products to these coalition countries. And within this, it is India. Have a look at this. Within these particular 5 countries, it is India which is leading the pack of the 5 countries which is selling the Russian crude oil products. Not crude oil, but the products of the crude oil, refined products of the crude oil to these pack of countries or the coalition of the countries. And that's the reason the report says India is leading the laundromat countries. This is the basic idea. Now, what do you need to understand? What is the inference here? Right? All these are facts. This much is exported, this much, etc. All these are facts. What are the inferences? 1. Can I simply say that if this situation will continue, the policies which were implemented to have an impact on the revenue generation potential of Russia, these measures will not be very effective. It will reduce the effectiveness of such measures. That's the first implication. Second implication, India is purchasing crude oil, refining it, selling it to other countries. So the refining capacity in case of India will be promoted. That's a very simple outcome. Refining production or refining capacity in India will be promoted. In fact, In case of India, production of crude oil, domestic production of crude oil is lesser. We import a lot of the crude oil, refine it and export. So we are able to export by refining these crude oil products in the domestic market. So refining promotion will take place. In fact, the Prime Minister has been calling for doubling of the refining production capacity in the domestic market from 250 MMTP to around 450 to 500 MMTP by 2030. So refining in India will be promoted. Third implication is by purchasing and refining and selling either China, India, etc., we are ensuring that there is no supply shock in the European market. Otherwise, what would have happened? Imagine we had not purchased the crude oil, more and more crude oil from Russia. The situation would have been such grievous that the supply of energy products such as diesel to the European markets would have been cut off, would have been reduced abruptly. Rather than saying cut off, would have been reduced. And that would have led to a supply shock leading to higher inflation in their countries. So we are playing a very important role here. Although there is a criticism, we are playing a very important role in ensuring there is no supply shock in these countries. That is the third very important implication. And fourth one, more of related to international relation, by purchasing, refining and ensuring continuous supply in these coalition countries, we are also ensuring our political influence. Our role in the geopolitical influence will also increase. Our strategic importance will increase now. These are the four very important inferences related to this piece of news. Now, based on this, I have given an MCQ. Consider the following statements. India's oil production capacity is higher than the refining capacity, hence it is able to export to the global market. Statement 1 is wrong. Our refining capacity is much higher than domestic production capacity. Government has allowed FDI in oil refining up to 49% under approval route. No, as per the notification issued in 2021, up to 100% FDI is allowed in oil refining, not 49%. So 1 and 2 are wrong. Right option for the question is option D here, neither 1 nor 2. So these are the various points I wanted to discuss regarding very recent report wherein India has been named as a lead laundromat in a group of 5 countries. And this report has been published, as already mentioned, by CREA. If you like these initiatives, hit the like button, provide your valuable comments in the section below. And if you're yet to subscribe to BYJU'S Exam Prep IAS, kindly do it right now. Thank you. Have a great day.